We're into our new series, my friends, on the book of Romans, and as you know, this time it's not verse by verse, but topic by topic. Last week's was, I believe, but where is God? And this week's is, I believe, but I'm mad with God. Colin Cook here, my friends, and How It Happens, a broadcast on good news. The good news that our Heavenly Father, by His work and grace in Jesus Christ, His Son, has brought to us a rescue, a salvation, an escape from our humanity, from this world, into the new kingdom of God, which will soon be. And also now we are in the kingdom of grace, where God is for us and helping us day by day. As you learn these things, my friends, and train your faith, you can intercept struggles like addictions or problems in the world that are truly stressing you. I believe, but I'm mad with God. Well, at least, friend, you know you're mad with God. The trouble is, most people don't know they are. They are detached from God. They don't give Him much time of the day. They don't pray to Him. They find Him somewhat redundant or irrelevant. That's all they experience. But the fact is, my friends, that not giving God the time of day and thinking of Him as irrelevant and redundant, these are simply steps that are simply going farther along the road of anger. Let me put it this way to you. Let's suppose you have an argument, a strong disagreement with a member of the family or a friend, a loved one of some kind or another, and you argue it out, but he or she just doesn't see your way, and it's a big issue, and what do? Especially if this person has authority over you, like a parent or a boss or somebody who's older, and you simply can't see eye to eye. What happens is that you start going quiet on that issue. You back off. You realize that he or she is just too touchy, and you live in a sort of moderated friendship or a moderated love relationship. You have qualified and diminished somewhat the expansiveness of your relationship. You don't touch that area, or it perhaps leads you to feel angry in relation to other things about that person, and so you are more on a shallow relationship with him. And if it's just too much, you just break off the relationship altogether, or you stop seeing your relative, or you just maybe call once a year. Now, you see, that is anger that has led to detachment. When we're angry at first, we're passionate. We just want to bang our fist against the wall or on a desk and just scream at the person. But after a while, when we've simmered down, the anger doesn't go away, unless the issue is, of course, resolved. The anger stays, but it changes form. And it moves into detachment. Do you know that? I mean, you surely have experienced that in your life at some time or another with a person. And after a while, when someone says, "Are you angry with that person?" you say, "No, I'm not angry." But in fact, you're experiencing the results of the anger, which is detachment and making that person irrelevant in your life and unnecessary towards you. Some people live like that for decades. And the fact is, most people live like that all their lives in regard to God. They were mad at Him, they were angry, they are believers, but they are now detached because somehow their anger has not been resolved. They're now at the place, you see, where anger has led them to an unspoken rhetorical question: what's the point? Because you never get any answers from God. He doesn't explain Himself. You can ask why till you're blue in the face, but you don't get a voice from heaven that says, well, let me explain, this is why. You've come to the place where you believe that there's simply no point in being angry with God because you don't get any resolution, you don't get anything resolved, and so you simply live on terms with God. You go to church on a Sunday, you maybe pray in a group, but there's very little personal relationship going on because really that living on terms with God is still anger. It is still anger, but it is deeply repressed anger now, and that's why you're detached. Now, my friends, the first thing we have to do is to begin to acknowledge that we are, in fact, mad with God. You know, God is big enough that there is in you this detachment, this making God as unnecessary as possible, as irrelevant, as redundant. You have to acknowledge that fact so that you can begin to deal with this issue. Because you see, where there is deep anger, there is no deep trust. Because we have come to conclude that in some way or other God is untrustworthy. Well, then when we acknowledge that we are angry with God, that we're mad at Him, we believe, but we're mad at Him, we believe at a distance, as it were. Don't come too close, God, because we might get into conflict again. Then we have to explore a little bit of what we're angry about. Now, when I was a young guy, I can tell you, looking back, what I was angry about, but I never identified it as anger towards God because I tried to respect and love Him and honor Him. And it seemed so sinful and wrong to say that I was mad with God or angry with Him. But you see, I had strong temptations to lust, and I could not seemingly control those temptations. They were addictive. In other words, I didn't really choose for these lusts to be upon me and the action to act upon those lusts, but it seemed as though I just had a desire and it followed straight through with an action, and I could not comprehend, I couldn't understand myself. I was a total confusion to myself. And I would pray to God that He would help me, that He would set me free, that He would deliver me. But all I got, seemingly, was silence. And then I would fall and fail, and I felt so angry. Mind you, I think I tried to put the anger as a dutiful Christian upon myself. It was your fault, your responsibility, and you simply did not act responsibly. But still there was that incredible unspoken, unspoken passion in me that said, why do I have such a heavy burden of desire when I didn't ask for it, when I didn't have a choice, when I didn't have a choice whether to live in this world or not? I have now identified that as anger towards God, really, because I felt that He had given me a burden too great to be borne. I dreaded the struggle with passion, the struggle with guilt, the struggle with shame afterwards, and the struggle with loneliness because I couldn't redirect that passion, that lust, that passion to healthy human relationships at that time. And so you may have found that in your own life, that you might have an addiction to drugs or alcohol or food issues or sex issues, and you simply find that God is not there when you are calling out to Him, that you've pled for deliverance and recovery and healing, and it has not happened. Perhaps, though, it's not the addiction thing, perhaps it's the disappointment thing. Your anger has turned into a certain passivity because you know God is simply disappointing. You have prayed 1,000 times for a certain thing, perhaps for a spouse, perhaps for a girlfriend, perhaps for a partner in life, and God hasn't answered. Or perhaps you've prayed for a better job, an improvement in your salary, and the boss never gives you a raise. In fact, you've prayed and prayed and you got fired. How does that work? And maybe it's about your health, that your health has got worse, or you had an accident, and you simply cannot function with your legs or fingers, or your brain isn't operating as you'd like it to, and all the gifts and talents that you have simply cannot be properly expressed, and there's a surging anger in you about why God let this happen. Or maybe someone died, a loved one, and you feel alone, or a precious pet got run over, and you cannot understand why God let it happen. You try to continue believing in God, but now you are disappointed in Him. You don't express it to Him, but you are keeping your distance. And, of course, back to the addiction again, if you've had this struggle and God hasn't delivered you yet, then you feel this condemnation and guilt from God. He's condemning you for something that is simply too great to be borne. And all you come up with is the law, the law, the law, God's demands, God's righteousness, what God expects of you, and how you don't come up high enough to the bar, as it were, yet, and you need to improve. All of these things, they engender anger, my friends. So the first thing that you and I need to do is to identify that anger, the various levels of it, write them down and say, "Dear God, I do believe in you, but I'm mad with you and I really have to talk this through, and I'm not going to back off this time." Thank you, friends, for your generous support of this ministry. You keep it going, and all those who donate on a monthly basis or a periodic basis, quarterly basis, thank you so much for keeping the ministry going and this radio broadcast now in its 17th year. I am looking, though, for 10 new partners this month. 10 new partners. A partner is someone who donates on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, annual basis, biannual basis. And if you like the program, if your faith is being trained, if you are being led away from some expense in your addiction and can therefore spare a little for the ministry, please consider, would you, becoming a partner of this broadcast. How do you become a partner? You simply send your first donation either by check or PayPal, or you can call me if you want me to take it off your card. And I will send you my Cook's Monthly Message as a thank you, which is in the book of Hebrews at the moment. Or if you don't want literature, simply let me know. And remember, your donations are tax deductible. You may, I will send you a receipt at the beginning of the new year for all for your donations this year. So, if you would like to have the address to make your first donation, then please send it to Faith Quest, P.O. Box 366, Littleton, Colorado 80160. That's Faith Quest, P.O. Box 366. Littleton, Colorado 80160. If you'd like to make your donation by PayPal, go to faithquestradio.com. faithquestradio.com. You can make your donation there. If you'd like me to take it off your card, simply call me at 303-738-8694. 303-738-8694. I'll see you next time, my friends. Cheerio and God bless.